I'm Scott Lucas. This is EA's Worldview on Iran. This Saturday, Hassan Rouhani will be inaugurated as the President of the Islamic Republic. But what should you be watching for when he takes office? Here's our 4-point guide to what's important. Point 1, Rouhani's cabinet. There's been a lot of speculation in the Iranian and the Western press this week about the men who will be advising Rouhani, about whether or not they will actually have real power or whether in fact they will be tokens answerable to the supreme leader. Here's the key for us. The new foreign minister, the new minister of intelligence, the new minister of interior will probably be men who were associated with a past government, the government of Hashemi Rafsanjani in the 1990s. A few of them will be associated with his successor, a man named President Khatami, the reformist who led Iran up until 2005. In many cases, these men were sidelined in the last 8 years. They were not like Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. They were put out to pasture. Some of them were even denied posts in public life, such as in universities. So in some ways, it will be in with the old, but it will be in with a group which has felt like they have not had influence and will be looking to take it back. So it's not a case of that they will be opposed to the supreme leader or that they will be completely supportive of the supreme leader. It will be a question of how much room they have to maneuver. That brings me to point 2, the economic front. Economics may be boring to read about, but it's the most important issue in Iran. Things like the currency rate, a major issue right now, because importers cannot get subsidized currency to bring in food and other vital products. Issues like inflation, conservatively running at more than 40%. Issues like Iran's declining oil exports. These are critical for Rouhani. If he cannot show that he has control of the economy, he will be in immediate trouble. Point 3, the social front. For all the talks of freedom and of possible relaxation of censorship, campaign promises that Rouhani made, here is one important symbolic issue. 2 of the presidential candidates in 2009, Mir Hossein Mousavi and Mehdi Karoubi, are still under house arrest after 2.5 years. This week, the supreme leader put out a signal to those men. He said, if you want to be free, you should apologize. You should apologize for contesting the 2009 election and disputing whether or not the vote was fair. Will President Rouhani go back to the supreme leader and say, no, Mousavi and Karoubi should be freed and you should not be trying to negotiate for a public apology? If Rouhani does stand up to the supreme leader, that's an important signal. Conversely, if he backs down, the opportunity for social change in Iran may be more limited than some will hope. Point 4, and the one that many in the West are watching. Will this be a new relationship between Iran and the United States or Iran and the West, especially on the nuclear talks? A lot of the discussion over Rouhani since he was elected in June is whether or not he is a moderate, whether or not he will engage with the United States. After all, he was Iran's lead nuclear negotiator up until 2005. Personally, I think Rouhani does want engagement. And personally, I think he wants negotiation with the Americans. Personally, I think the supreme leader will give him some space to do that. But here's the unexpected answer. What happens next in the nuclear negotiations is not as much up to Rouhani as it is up to the United States. In the past week, there has been a major battle in the United States which has taken place, anticipating Rouhani coming into office. On one side, there has been a group of congressmen and activists who have called for meaningful talks. 131 of them wrote to President Obama this past week saying, genuinely talk about Iran's nuclear program and stop threatening. However, in reaction to that, there's been another group of congressmen, another group of activists who have gone back and said, we are going to have hearings this week. We are going to prove that Iran is not only lying about its nuclear program, we're going to prove that Iran is dangerous in Syria, that it is dangerous in the Middle East, that it is dangerous by sponsoring terrorists in Latin America. In other words, what we are going to have, both this week and after Rouhani is inaugurated, is a fight in the United States about whether or not it wants genuine two-way negotiations with Iran on the nuclear program. If it says yes, then Rouhani's inauguration is important. If it says no, it really doesn't matter that Rouhani is the next president of Iran. The fact is that the United States, and it hopes its partners, will be laying down a tough line to Iran which says, not negotiate, capitulate. That's our 4-point guide to the inauguration of President Rouhani. In the weeks to come, we'll be following up on those predictions. I'm Scott Lucas, and this has been EA's Worldview on Iran.